We're back!
Mighty Car Mods is back.
And this episode we're building a Mad Sleeper Mini. Welcome back to not just another episode, but another year of Mighty Car Mods.
If you were making babies when our first episode came out, you would have a 9-year-old.
Which is absolutely frightening. But this year, we got some incredible and epic things planned. We got overseas adventures.
We've got big power builds. Bigger power than you've ever seen on Mighty Car Mods before.
We're going to be working on some absolute nuggets.
We got some DIY.
And of course, we're doing some myth busting and some other silly things. But how do you kick off such an extravagant and incredible season of Mighty Car Mods? I'll tell you how. You build a Sleeper Mini. Now, why would you want to do that? Why not? So let's kick into the first episode of Mighty Car Mods this year, building a Mad Sleeper Mini.
This is my classic Mini, a version made specifically for the Japanese domestic market, which we found in Tokyo. This is without a doubt my all-time favourite car. The classic Mini is quite literally a classic and an icon of the 20th century. A little while back, my friend Miles and I decided to supercharge it with a kit that we got from England that was made in Germany. Miles has always had Minis in his life, and he's been working on cars since he was a little kid. His dad was a master Mini mechanic and taught Miles everything he needed to know on how to work with them. Minis have been important in my family too. My very first car was a Mini, and here's my mum with hers back in the 1960s. Once we finished supercharging my Mini, we tuned it to run on ethanol race fuel, and it has been awesome. But now, like most people with modified cars, I want more. More power, more reliability, and a fifth gear would be nice too. So I'm heading up to Queensland to meet up with Miles at his workshop, and this Mini is about to get some serious and substantial modifications. These J-Spec Minis are awesome, and the only thing that's really letting them down is power. We got around a 50% power increase with the addition of the supercharger and the E85 tune, but now we're taking it further. Much further. Now you may be wondering, what is the plan to make this Super Mini super fast? Well, we're doing a complete engine swap, and no, this is not an engine from another Mini, this is an engine from a JDM Honda Civic Type R. This is a B16B, a 1.6 litre naturally aspirated performance engine with VTEC from Japan. It has 185 horsepower and redlines at 9,000 RPM. Now, to put this into perspective, my Mini's A-Series engine originally shipped from the factory with 60 horsepower. There are numerous benefits to a Honda engine swap, including reliability, performance, a 5-speed box, and a power-to-weight ratio that is going to be ridiculous. These Minis only weigh around 700 kilos, so with an engine swap like this, it's going to be off its face. Marty has arrived in his new car with an important piece of the puzzle. This is a B16 engine loom. We didn't get one with our engine, so this one was sourced by Mechanical Stig and will be an integral part of the build. Our favourite Honda hater Turbo Yoda is set to task stripping down the B16B engine, while we strip the car of everything that's going to get in the way of installing the new engine.
So the time has come to do a VTEC conversion on the Mini. And it's both exciting and painful because there was so much time and effort put into this first iteration of the Mini, which is a supercharged Mini that runs on E85 and flex fuel, the first one in the world. But I just want more power and I want to go faster. It's as simple as that, really. Now, there's a number of different ways that you can go faster with carby Mini builds, and there's a whole world of that stuff going on. But I wanted to do something that involved a bit of the JDM heritage of this particular Japanese Mini, and that's why we're putting in a B16B Honda Civic engine. Now that's the first bit. The second bit is how do we actually get it in there? And hence we have Miles here, Mini expert and engine conversion expert, and just all around awesome guy. And he's going to tell you now how it's done. All right, how are we going to do it? Obviously we've got to pull this all out first,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Clean out the engine bay.
Yep.
No wiring.
Nothing.
No engine.
Empty.
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 Then an angle grinder.
Yes. Angle grinder.
Okay, and we're going to start. All the Mini people out there just buy. We're not watching anymore. Angle grinders. So what have we got to cut to actually fit it in there?
What I believe we'll need to cut both of the inner wheel arch trims out on both sides because the engine is physically a lot longer than this. We've got a gearbox hanging out the side of the new motor, whereas with the Mini it's nice and compact underneath. So we need to make the motor fit in lengthways, which the only way to do that is, yes, to remove the steel from inside of here.
Yep.
We then, first of all, obviously we need to take this motor out and the original subframe out and get rid of it completely. And then we're going to have a different subframe in the car that will house our new Honda motor. And once it's actually physically in there, the rest of it is fairly straightforward. It's like any conversion of plumbing and wiring and bits and pieces, but the struggle is going to be fitting a very large square peg in a round hole.
Great. All right, let's get to it.
Sounds good.
Buying engines from overseas is a lengthy process because Australia is a long way away and has strict quarantine laws, but it is definitely worth it for something special like this. The real question though, now that it's in the country, how do we get it in the car?
It's one thing to have a Mini and it's another thing to have a 1.6 litre VTEC Honda engine from Japan, but how do you actually combine the two together? Well, obviously it's not just going to fit as is, so you need a custom subframe, which is exactly what I have here. So this was supplied by Mini Mania and manufactured by Minitech in the USA. So this here was specifically made for me, and this particular project, I rang them up and said, can you do this? Can you make them? They said, yep, we make them. So they put this together, it took a couple of weeks, and then they shipped it out to Australia. Now, this takes the guesswork out of it, and it also has componentry for the suspension. So I've got over here, as part of this, we've also got coilovers and all the other bits and pieces to actually make this fit inside a Mini. And this here is manufactured specifically to fit the B16B engine from Japan. So engine goes in this, Mini goes over the top of that. Very, very minimal cutting of the car required, and externally it should still look exactly the same, and we'll end up with a proper mad sleeper Mini with VTEC unicorns. Now you're going to see and hear some things that you're probably not going to like very much, Mini Bonnet. And to keep you safe, we're putting you in here. Apparently this is called a sausage roll, Martin. That in there, that's called meat. Why did it take so long before someone told me that animals taste so delicious?
I don't know.
Would you go as far to say the fact it's got a Honda badge on it upsets you? Or are we getting past that slowly?
He's evolving. See, some people stay exactly the same, Al doesn't. He's one of these higher beings, man. He gets the information he has and he makes intelligent decisions about it. I was just saying to Miles, have you got a really long screwdriver? And he's like, do you know why he has this? So this exists to drain the coolant out of the Mini. So remember, you and I have done this before, Marty, where you're one person in there, one person down there. And have you needed to use this for any other car? Nope. No. So we will now call this the Mini screwdriver.
Do you reckon in the 60s, because I know a few people have noticed that you're using an iPhone torch, do you reckon in the 60s anyone ever thought there would be a device in there that would be more powerful than the spaceship that just went to space a few weeks ago, because it's 1969, that you would be shining a torch out the back of it and also playing Candy Crush and unwinding your radiator thing?
And Panda Pop. Probably not, Martin. And those people probably did like crazy things, like had conversations with their mates and sat at dinner and chatted with their girlfriends and didn't lie in bed just flicking the button on their phone, they were flicking something else.
What do you mean?
What if, okay, let me put this another way. What if in another 50 years' time, is someone going to be unwinding this thing What are they going to be holding?
It'll be me, Martin. I'll be using the iPhone 80, and I'll be using probably this same screwdriver, because this is my forever car, mate. This is never going anywhere. So in 50 years, which will be season, 59 of Mighty Car Mods or something, we'll do that. Deal? In 50 years, we'll work on this car again?
Sure.
No, I'm actually serious. Make a deal. In 50 years, we'll work on this car. Done.
We're going to look so old by then.
We're
in,
gonna be
in
gross,
3D
man.
and in VR and all this crazy stuff.
I'm going to need a bra by then. Around my balls, I mean. Well, here it goes.
Dude, the bucket is catching like nothing. Oh, wow.
Maybe I should have given you the big one. Yeah, we have a thing for that. I probably should have given you that.
Now, Turbo Yoda, I openly admit that I know very little about Honda engines. Have you worked on a Honda engine before?
Oh, a couple.
I'm not going to ask you Honda specific stuff because I don't know the answer and frankly I don't really care. But what I am interested in is this. Look at this. So on the back it's got the gearbox and then it's got a drive shaft that's like permanently attached. What's going on here?
That's just to make the drive shafts even, so you don't have unequal length drive shafts, because torque steer is a problem on the front wheel drive car.
So that is done by Honda to prevent torque steer?
Well, yeah, to minimise it. Yeah, it's just to make the drive shafts so the CV joints are in the same point on either side of the car. Because if you have one drive shaft that's this long, it'll wind up more.
Yep.
And that doesn't help with handling and that sort of thing. Volkswagen used to have one short shaft that was that round and a long shaft that was this round.
Yep.
To try and make them wind up the same amount.
Yep.
But yeah, this is very common. It's pretty much the way to do it on an engine like this.
Something else I noticed about this engine, now this is, like the design's fairly modern, obviously to rev as hard as it revs and do what it does, like it makes power and it's a popular engine. Why do you think they put a distributor on it and not coil packs?
To upset me, perhaps, but I'm not real sure.
Do you reckon that's cost saving or do you reckon they just went, it works?
Yeah, Honda does things their own way. The engineering is sound, but they do tend to do things the way that works for them, and
Yep.
if that's on there, it's obviously fine. I know Honda was ahead of their time with head design and that sort of thing, so.
Yep.
But yeah, so a lot of the electronic control side of things on Hondas is well, it used to be sort of a bit behind
Yep.
some of the others because they probably didn't need it because the engine efficiency was
Right.
so high that they didn't need to use
Yeah.
fancy electronics to try and get the emission control and the power out of
Yeah,
them.
exactly, because so often this was all about emissions, right?
Yeah.
Like it was like, okay, it makes the target power and it doesn't make too much pollution, sell it.
Yep, that's it.
Do you like it? Scale of 1 to 10.
I like it better than an SR20.
Well said.
A lot better.
I'll be able to reuse my aftermarket ECU once the new engine is installed.
Harry's dropped in to see Turbo Yoda, and he's all the way from the UK. And we were here too. And now we're filming him, and it's super awkward.
It's pretty awkward, yeah.
How's it feel, man? You get visitors from the other side of the world.
Most of them are.
From the other side of the world? How's it feel?
It's all right.
I've got mixed feelings removing the supercharged engine. There was so much work in it, but the thought of what will be replacing it is just way too exciting to ignore.
My little finger is the only finger that fits in between the side of the engine and this sharp bit of the supercharger here. This finger, look at this. Nope. Nope. Nope.
Yep.
So there has been some talk of turbocharging this Honda engine, but the fact is that I just don't think we're going to need to. Now, when this car was delivered in its original form, it had around 50 kilowatts
50 kilowatts at the engine.
at the engine. And the B16B engine that we're putting in is listed at what,
140.
140. So we're adding 90 kilowatts, which is crazy. And well, it's pretty much triple. We're tripling the power. Not quite 1,000%, but we're tripling it.
Do you think that'll actually make your car overpowered? Because, I mean, I'm asking the question, other people are asking the question, they're thinking it.
No one's thinking that. What we can do with our Haltech is we can actually have a number of different driving modes in there. So we can have our 140 kilowatts, loads of power, spinning wheels, all sorts of crazy stuff, set it up with different VTEC modes and stuff. But you could also just make a valet mode where we can wind the car back so it's got its kind of 35 or 40 kilowatts at the wheels and essentially should just feel like a Mini again, which means you could lend it to someone and just go, cool, it's on Mini mode, this mode, that mode, that mode. You can have lots and lots of different modes.
And that's it, the supercharger is coming off. And the guys said they had a special place to store it for me.
Give me back my supercharger!
Next, we're removing all of the A-Series engine wiring and the radiator fans.
So this is it. Everything that needs to be disconnected, we think has been disconnected. So it's ready to raise the car up and the engine should stay exactly where it is and the rest of it should just elevate. And we say goodbye to A-Series and hello to B-Series.
We're placing a jack underneath the engine, and then with the engine mounts undone, we'll be able to use the hoist to raise the rest of the car up.
Hey, what do Mini owners and Honda owners have in common?
Yeah, Mini owners do it this way, Honda owners do it that way, right?
And that's it, the engine is out. This is a quality example of the A-Series engine, so it will live on, possibly for another project in the future. But for now, it's all about the Honda, and the real question, will it fit my Mini? Because this B16 is secondhand, we thought now is probably the best time to open it up and have a look before it gets installed in the car.
Dude, this motor is clean. It looks like it's actually been serviced and or hasn't gone very far.
It looks like it's new.
Looks like it's what? New.
Initial investigations suggest that somehow this engine may actually be brand new.
That's what you want, man, when you buy a second-hand engine. That's what you want it to look like. It's gonna hit VTEC. Look, it just hit VTEC. Oh, look, it's doing VTEC-y things.
The mystery of why the internals of this engine look brand new will have to wait, because now we have another job to do. Cutting up the Mini. If you're a die-hard classic Mini lover, you should probably close your eyes now for the next 15 seconds. With most of the bulky cutting done, now we can get the subframe and see if it actually fits inside the engine bay. This is going to be a lot easier to do now than when it has the weight of the engine in it as well. So this lets us see if everything lines up and what else may need to be cut off so that it fits properly.
So we've just done a test fit of the subframe, and what we've realised is there are a few things in the way. Some of them are big bits of metal that are attached to the body of the car that we're going to have to cut off. Other things are like the fuel lines over here. So when this new subframe goes up, it actually doesn't clear all of these fuel lines. So they've got to get chopped from underneath the car. So we're going to raise that up, and then we're going to have to relocate all of those. Other than that, with these fenders, like the inner fenders gone, there's actually a lot of room in here. It's deceptive actually how much room there really is. So we're going to cut the fuel lines. We've got to give it a little chop down here. And then we'll be one step closer to our mad VTEC Mini madness.
The trick now is to keep cutting away any small parts of metal that are getting in the way of the new subframe. Now it's just a matter of trial and error and lifting up the subframe until everything lines up perfectly. Our test fit is starting to look pretty good. Our next job, drain the fuel tank. Meanwhile, back at the engine, there's still deep mystery surrounding how this engine could be brand new.
What would you expect to see on a used motor that we're not seeing now?
Signs of combustion, which it doesn't have.
So before we actually go to the effort of making sure that the engine fits inside this, I'm just going to double check that the mounts fit onto the engine, because if they fit, then we know we're actually in business. Come on.
It's not ideal.
Remember that time when we did the Honda B Series engine and then the mount that's for a Honda B Series engine didn't fit the Honda B Series engine? Do you remember that time?
It does not fit the Honda. It literally doesn't fit the Honda.
Not wanting the build to grind to a halt, Marty and Turbo Yoda have headed off in search of Honda engine mounts at the local wrecker. And after searching every single Honda there, we're sad to say that we've realised there are a lot of different mounts out there and none of them are going to work for us. Even though we're not yet in a position to permanently attach the engine to the subframe, we're going to give it a trial fit to make sure everything else lines up.
So it turns out there's actually a whole plethora of engine mounts for Hondas. And over the years, this motor's been in lots and lots of different Hondas. Well, not this particular motor, but B16s have been in lots of Hondas, and they all have slightly different methods of mounting up. Some that look like this, some that look like big cradle things, some that look like this but have a slightly different offset. All things that we are learning.
That's right. So this kit here came with what looks like it's a DC5 engine mount here, which has got a 3-prong setup, but the actual engine mount bracket on the side of the engine is 2-prong. So you've got an option of either changing the engine mount or changing the bracket. And I do believe, Martin, last night you went and met up with some Mighty Mods action. We put a post up on the Mighty Mods Facebook page and said, does anybody have this?
So we did a call out and drove about an hour south, and this legend drove an hour north to meet me, and we got this engine mount, which should be better. It might still take some fiddling. We might have to mix and match our engine mounts and prongs and 3-prong, 2-prong. I don't know, it's Honda, man. It's Honda stuff.
It turns out that the mount that Marty picked up from a Mighty Car Mods fan doesn't fit either, so we're just going to put one bolt through the supplied mount so that we can continue working on the car. The engine will need to come out again, but now we've got the opportunity of putting the engine into the subframe and then lowering the mini frame over the top of it to see if it's actually going to fit.
So we're doing a test fit of the engine. We don't have all the engine mounts and bracketry and stuff sorted out yet, but it is in position, so we're just seeing if it's going to work. Needs to come forward a little bit on this side again, Miles.
Yeah. See if you can pull it forward against that
Yep.
front of the lane.
Looks like it's almost fitting, except this heat shield here on the exhaust is getting stuck on the front here. So we're going to remove that and then try again. So what you are seeing here, ladies and gentlemen, is a B16B going into a Mini. This is happening. This is real. This is automotive perfection right here. Hold on, not quite.
I'm frothing from multiple orifices at the same time.
If you are wondering, does it fit my Mini? The answer is yes, the Honda engine fits. So now we can remove the engine and then finish off the rest of the installation of the subframe. As well as the engine upgrade, we're also upgrading the suspension with a quality set of coilovers.
So when you're doing a big engine conversion on your mad little Mini, it's one thing to go, but it's another thing to stop. So here we've got a big brake kit from Mini Sport in South Australia, and this is going to give us the mad stopping power that we need when we're VTECing like bosses at the racetrack. And in here we have some moisturiser, which is the first thing anybody needs when they're doing a big brake kit because it's just going to look so good. Already assembled, you've got your big brake kit, which is going to look a little bit like that. Slotted and vented. These are 4-pot. They're big and they're ready to go. Mad.
This Mini is going to be faster than anyone could have ever imagined, so a big brake kit is a must. And yes, as far as Minis go, this brake kit is huge. These are slotted, vented and made in England, and we'll pair them up with custom braided brake lines.
So the brakes are on, the wheels are on, the subframe is in, and all of that stuff is actually looking pretty good. But the next step is actually getting out some, I don't know, hacksaws and other cutting blades and other things that are going to hurt many people's feelings. And we're going to peel back the carpet, take out the dash, because the next big component of this install is moving the steering rack. Now on left-hand drive Minis, you don't need to do it, but on right-hand drive Minis, the whole steering rack actually has to move back further into the car. And I say into the car because there's nowhere for it to go except into the car, because the gearbox of the B16 is getting up against it. Now, how do you move a steering rack back when there's metal in the way? You remove the metal, you cut it out. So we're going to be cutting something probably about this size in the firewall, moving the steering rack back into the car and then covering that back up. And it's pretty epic actually with a car that is like this beautiful and of this quality, but it's what's required if you want mad VTEC unicorn power. There's got to be some sacrifices, and in this case, it's a large portion of the firewall.
We're fitting a very big engine in a very small space, so it was expected that it was going to be time consuming and lots of trial fitting and removing and refitting. And the big thing with anything you do, whether you buy a kit or whether you make it yourself, it doesn't always just go in first time. You have to sometimes make your own arrangements, which in this case we're having to do. And I mean, it's going to be a superb car when it's finished. I mean, the car looks really nice and it drives nice, and this is just going to be the final piece of the puzzle. It'll now go as well as what it deserves to go.
The next step is removing the dashboard and any components that are going to get in the way when we're modifying the firewall.
So as part of the process to relocate the steering rack, we actually need to get rid of the dash, get rid of the evaporator and also the heater matrix here, because these are in the way of where we're going to need to cut and then weld. Now, when I first got this Mini, it was leaking a little bit of water down here underneath, so there's also a little rust spot that we're going to fix. But I actually replaced this heater matrix here with Marty, which was a real pain in the ass job to do. When we opened it up and had a look, it was absolutely chock-a-block full of stop leaks. So somebody had actually had a leak at some stage in the radiator, tipped it in. That system pipes through here. Using this lever, it opens and closes the hot water going through, which gives you your hot air. It was a total pain in the ass job to fix. These are really, really hard to get. And so we've got to be careful that we don't break it. The last time we had to get one from overseas, they were really, really difficult and really rare. So this has to come out, this has to come out, then we've got to pull the carpet back, and then the car will be ready for chopping to get the steering rack back out of the way, because it's a right-hand Mini, which is required so we can fit in the subframe kit and it won't rub on the gearbox of the Honda. These things just, what seems like a simple thing, and this is not really a simple thing, but you find when you're doing these projects, one thing leads to the next and leads to the next, and ends up being this game of wacky car mod chess where every move is reliant on other things that are happening. And in this case, the move is getting an angle grinder and chopping the firewall out.
With all of these components removed, this is as far as we can go until more parts arrive from overseas. So now, we have to wait.
Sucks because these kind of parts also with a car like this, you can't just walk down to your local part shop and get, you know, oh, I need a specialised extended tie rod end, or I need a specialised VTEC Mini kit.
Yeah.
A lot of these parts are coming from overseas, and that means if you don't have the exact right bit and you say, hey, I need the bit, you're waiting weeks.
Yeah, so we've got to get some parts in from America, possibly some parts from England, one or two bits from Japan, and a couple of parts which we think we might be able to get from Australia. So it is a multicultural build.
It's the United Nations of mini builds.
And it's as far as we can go
which
right
I
now.
want to do more. I want to do a VTEC skid.
That's it for this part of Mighty Car Mods, Martin.
We will not be beat.
We will be VTEC'd.
We will be delayed, but we will not be beat.
We're just like a human turbocharger, Martin.
Yeah.
We're just like whizzing it up before we blow it out.
It's pulling up before it comes on boost and VTEC's all over yourself.
Yep. See you later, guys.
It's going to be good, man. It's going to be so good. Just think of the first time when you get the revs come up to like 5,000, all the lag,
I know.
none of the boost.
I
It's
know.
going to be amazing.
I love the lag and no boost.
And when it changes on that different cam and makes a crazy noise and it's coming out of the back of this thing,
Amazing. There he is. What a boss.
boss.
I'd be in here going, oh, this thing doesn't come out. And he's like, you got to squeeze it twice, twist it like 2 bits, and then pull it out just like you had to on the old Minis.
Yeah.
He's a boss. And thanks to Al as well, old Turbo Yoda. He got involved.
We did.
We're done. That's it.
We'll be back. We will be back with a VTEC Mini. We'll take you with us.